Live from Lubbock, Texas. It's the Pete Sousa Show. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, we are live in Lubbock, Texas, and we are stoked you're with us again today. I got a Texas Tech Oral Roberts game tonight at United Supermarkets Arena with the great King McClure. Not only is King our teammate at Rogue, he's also my teammate at ESPN and also with the Big 12. Fired up for that one. Maybe we'll sprinkle in a little bit about that as the show goes on, but wanted to start off with a couple items NFL related. Cowboys, Bill Belichick, and NFL adjacent and soon to be NFL impactful. Travis Hunter winning the Heisman. Let's start with the Cowboys. A convincing win. Oh, by the way, thanks to Slovacek's, Crawford Austin Properties, First National Bank of Central Texas, the whole gang, and you can't forget D1 Daniel Stark and Socorro Family Ford. I don't have my big screen behind me, so I can't just rely on that. I got to pick it up myself. But to start off with the NFL, the Cowboys, like I mentioned, their big win against the Panthers. And this situation now, I'm always like one of those folks who lays back. I never call for people's jobs. When people are having their jobs called for, I try to take a beat and see, like, does this make sense? Because I think a lot of times we have no clue what we're talking about as fans. Even folks that can be in the organization, you still don't understand everything that goes into a head coach's job description and just all the checks, the balances, and all that stuff. And we've been hearing more and more about it over the past 2 weeks or a week specifically when folks are talking about Bill Belichick taking over for North Carolina and, the potential that he would have taken over for an NFL team and just how good he is at managing organizations and, in this case, a program. I think we forget about all the details and just all the pressure and all the responsibility that comes with being a head coach. So I try to keep the most open mind possible. However, with the Cowboys, as we get down the stretch and they get better, my outlook on Mike McCarthy actually gets worse. And here's why. It comes down to one player and one player only. Rico Dowdle. He has been playing very well the past 4 games. And the reason he's been playing well is because he's been given an opportunity by the head coach and the offensive coordinator to run the ball. Let me look at it. I have it written down here. Let me go to the notes. So the Cowboys have won 3 of their last 4. They certainly could have won 4 of their last 4. They blew it against the Bengals last Monday night, and it was because of a special teams error and certainly a situation that the Cowboys could have won that football game. So they could have won 4 of their last 4, and we could be sitting here talking about them with an outside chance at making the playoffs. I think if you still get really deep into the numbers, they probably are still alive and well this morning. In fact, I know they are at a chance to get in the playoffs, although it's a crazy long shot, right? So the Cowboys have won 3 of the last 4, and a huge reason why. So against the Redskins, right? Rico Dowdle gets 19 carries, runs for 86 yards. Anytime he gets like around 20 carries, they win the game. Game after that, 131 yards on 20-something carries. Then 112 yards. That was another win. And then 149 yards against the Panthers. The 131 he had against the Bengals, that was in a losing effort. But the Cowboys had not shown any commitment to Dowdle and the running game up until the past 4 games, unless you want to factor in a win on the road in Pittsburgh on a Sunday night all the way back in September, early October, when they gave the ball to Dowdle 20 times and he had 86 yards. It's not even so much the effectiveness. I mean, of course, it's the effectiveness and the ability to gain yards. But it's the commitment to that balance and to your offense running the football. So here's the issue with Mike McCarthy. It's like I heard Ed Werder talk to Matt Mosley about this weeks ago on the Doomsday podcast. And man, when you talk about Werder and Mosley, again, I really respect those guys because they're sourced up and they watch every game, every play of every game, and they're dialed in to what's going on at the Star in Frisco, the Cowboys facility. So when Ed Werder says, I've covered Mike McCarthy all the way back to his time at Green Bay, and Mike McCarthy loves to talk about a dedication to the run, but he really doesn't have a dedication to the run. He wants to, but eventually he'll start throwing the football. Well, clearly down the stretch, I don't know if it has been, hey, I believe Mike McCarthy has a chance to keep his job. I believe he believes he has a chance to keep his job. And so, like, with the ultimate pressure coming down on him, it's time to button up. And clearly, without Dak Prescott, too, right? You have a featured component of your offense that you've gotten away from all season long that you can go to now. And by doing that, you're taking pressure off your defense. You're keeping them off the field. They're now able to play better. The Cowboys early in the year, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. That was always the situation. Now they're down. Now they're trying to put together some crazy comeback. And some of those losses early in the year weren't even quite as bad as they seemed because the Cowboys would make some wild comeback that meant nothing but fantasy points and covering spreads. Now it's a Cowboys team that is like playing good football. The game they played against the Panthers yesterday was the most complete game they've played all year long. Now, granted, the Panthers are not very good, but that's what you need to do against not very good teams, right? You show up, you grind it out, and at the end of the game, you win by 2 scores. Like, that's the kind of team we thought the Cowboys were going to have going into this season. So the Cowboys are on a bit of a roll. Again, I've said it before, almost to their own detriment, winning 3 out of 4. And now you see, okay, now they play the Buccaneers. That's another game that they could win, especially if this new look Cowboys team keeps it on the ground, keeps it close. We could be looking at another good game and possibly another win for Dallas coming up here this weekend. And back to my original point, if Mike McCarthy couldn't see this at the beginning of the season, if he couldn't see it when the team was starting to slide a couple games into the season, then he probably does. I don't know. I can't even bring myself to say it, but it could be time for a change, right? Because clearly he was sitting on the answer to all the issues and he didn't get it or get to it till it was just completely desperate. And that's to the detriment of the Cowboys. And ultimately, it's a detriment to the fan base. Let's remember, like, these teams are like public trusts. I always say that. My man Murph from Philly, one of my best buddies, says that. You know, like, if you're an owner, yeah, it's fine. Like, you do what you want. It's your team. But at the end of the day, like, you do represent the greater good of a whole community, city, area, state, sometimes area of the country. So there is a greater responsibility that comes with these owners. And Cowboys fans are bummed. They've been bummed all season long. And if you're the Cowboys fans, they're all over the country. Even I was listening to Brad Sham in his radio call. Boy, Brad Sham was Cooper Rush committed that fumble right before the half. And I think Brad, we'll put that to voicemail. By the way, so this is a restaurant I went to in Louisville, Texas with Christy on Thursday night. This is the 3rd time they've called me. They want feedback on how our dinner went. And we've gone there before. I'll mention the place, 1845. It's awesome. But they always call to see how they did. Like, I'll call you if it was a bad experience, okay? I appreciate it. This is now the 3rd time they've called. And what is it, 8 in the morning? What are we doing here? This is being taped, by the way, because I got to go to shoot around a little bit. But anyways, 1845, great job. Maybe if you watch this, you'll know. So you probably will never know. But back to my point about Brad Sham, he was so frustrated with Cooper Rush and some of the decision-making that he that he exhibited down the stretch with that fumble. That fumble actually turned into a touchdown for the Panthers and made the game much closer than it should have been going into halftime. But ultimately, everything sorted itself out. Cooper Rush had 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Another quarterback to talk about. I got to pull this up because these numbers are just flat out insanity. Lamar Jackson yesterday, right? They beat up on who else? The Giants. By the way, sometimes these quarterback numbers are inflated because the teams they're playing against are just awful. So yesterday, Lamar, 290 yards throwing the football, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. He is so good, and I'm so pulling for him to turn the corner in the playoffs this season. And I want to see that happen for this dude. I just love the way he plays. I love his effort. I love his attitude. He's hardcore. And I want to see Lamar Jackson succeed. I do. My brother calls him Lamb Jack. I'm pulling for Lamb Jack. One other NFL note. There's a couple other NFL things, but I'll get to them in the order of importance, or at least what I view as importance. And here you go. These are my importance levels. God, the Seattle Seahawks. What were they wearing last night? Who are those uniforms for? I don't know. Like, is the fan base that hard up that they have to, or is the organization that hard up that they have to have like uniforms like that to like bring up sales for kids around Christmas time? Are they the Oregon Ducks circa 2009 or 2007, and they're trying to get kids to commit to the program and go play because of their uniforms? The Seattle Seahawks, the reason I bring this up is because earlier in the season, they lost on Thursday Night Football, but they wore those old school unis, the Steve Largent, Dave Craig, Kurt Warner, the real Kurt Warner. Those uniforms were just the best. And they wore them on a Thursday night. And I feel like it's almost like the Jets this season, as bad as they suck. One thing that makes them like a little less of an eyesore is that they're wearing those jerseys from the 80s and 90s. That jersey makeup. But yeah, the Seahawks uniforms, if you saw the game last night, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe we can get some video up here. But it is like, they were like highlighters, those yellow highlighters. And it's as a fan, it's like, I guess I'm getting old, but I'm like, why are they wearing these? So that like kind of hijacks my mind. And then I'm pulling for him to come back. And then Sam Howell's in the game, and there's no chance they're going to come back. And he just throws an interception. So down the stretch. One football anecdote, just from me as like a guy who thinks they know a little bit about the game. Green Bay is trying to salt the game away. They're up, I think, by 10 in the fourth quarter with like 6 minutes left. It's 4th and 2. And they've got Josh Jacobs running the football. He's doing a hell of a job. And Matt LaFleur, offensive genius, who knows, has forgotten a million times more football than I'll ever know. On 4th and 2, lines up Jacobs next to Love in a shotgun formation. So 4th and 2, shotgun formation. You take the ball. So you're already 3, maybe 5, 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. You take the snap and you hand it to Josh Jacobs. Like, to me, this just doesn't make sense mathematically, or if you want to bring physics into it, another thing it's over my head. I think that's so simple. Why do you start a guy 4 yards deep in the backfield with a defense that's pinning its ears back and knows it's fourth or die, right? So like, you're going to give the guy the ball 4 yards deep in the backfield or 3 yards deep? Like, I know the play design is way over my head and there's so much more going on there, but I that is one thing where I can step in and be like, nope, I'm right about this. That was stupid. And I was right. I'm right about that. Like, Matt LaFleur, again, like genius, whatever. Amazing coach. That was wrong on so many levels, in my opinion. So that was one NFL anecdote. We'll get to Bill Belichick here. I want to switch over to one other topic that a lot of people are talking about over the past, like a little bit of scuttlebutt about the NBA and the ratings. So the NBA's ratings are down, right? And the numbers are, I think they're down 4% over the last year. And then they're down 4%. Let me get this right. Let me look this up. Viewership for the tournament, the midseason tournament, is down 10% compared to last season. Overall, ratings are down 4% in the last 12 years. And like I just mentioned, so NBA ratings are down 4% in the last 12 years, and they've fallen off a cliff this past year. Okay. And people are trying to figure out, well, why is this? Is it politics? Everybody loves to throw politics in there. The NBA, go woke, go broke, Yeah, maybe there's something to that, but like, it's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the fact that the NBA is not that fun to watch. And the players are just not that relatable anymore. And those two things, more than anything, I think there are fringe sects of society that will, I'm not watching ESPN, like, oh, they're too woke. Like, okay, like, got it. Like, but I'm telling you, the people that are that hardcore about it, in my experience, don't make up like a huge part of the pot. I think that overall, it's too expensive to go to games, and it's too disappointing to spend a lot of money and then go to a game and see star not play. And then if you actually do get a game, I was talking to an NBA player, a former NBA player, a couple of days ago, and this player was sitting courtside at a game recently, and it was like, man, it's rough to watch. You know, it's a December game, and guys are like robots in a sense where everybody runs down to a certain spot on the floor and shoots a three, or they go to the basket where there's very little defense being played. There's no such thing as a mid-range jumper anymore, like at all. And the mathematics and the analytics have taken over. And I'm not here to tell you that that's not an efficient way to win basketball games. I don't even know enough to weigh in on that. I can tell you that it's not fun to watch until the playoffs come and guys are really ratcheting it up. But the reason people aren't watching NBA games is because they're not that fun to watch right now. And also, the players are not relatable. When you see how much money they make, which is awesome, they deserve it, dude. They can, like, if you can do something that nobody else in the world can do, and the demand is there for you to do it, like, sorry, like, that's capitalism in a sense. Like, get as much as you can for honing in on your superpower. And, you know, if you're Tom Cruise, who's going to do Mission Impossible 30, and there's only one person that can open that movie and be with his name above the title, you know, and make it billions of dollars maybe at this point, or hundreds of millions, it's Tom Cruise, right? He opens that movie. Like, not Pete Sousa. They could put me in Mission Impossible. A couple people might go just to see how bad and screwed up it is. But like, Tom Cruise will open that movie and make a ton of money. If you know LeBron James is on the Lakers roster, or another team in the NBA, season tickets are going to sell out. Everything around the team is going to, all the money is going to be printing itself. And it's just a financially beneficial decision. So that's any decisions, any questions you have, the answer is always money, right? You know, with all that being said, it doesn't mean that we have to buy in to the overall day-to-day. That's just not that fun. So basketball is in like a weird spot. And I think like over the next like 72 hours, maybe even a couple weeks, like I would brace for a couple like suckers like me that have shows like this to really like, oh, the NBA is going away. It's over. Like, no, it's not happening. The NBA is alive and very well. They're making a lot of money, and this will pass. This will cycle through. I can remember, I mean, now we're talking 30 years ago, maybe a little less. But when I was in high school, I remember looking at a cover of the Sports Illustrated. There was a Jets player. I forget what he was doing. But he was like on a knee maybe or something. And it was, you know, can the NBA or can the NFL be fixed? You know, the NFL was on life support, you know, according to this article in Sports Illustrated, which at the time was like the most important piece of sports journalism and sports journalism outlet in the world. So that was a situation where, yeah, the NFL was in trouble, right? No, it wasn't actually. I mean, they had to make some changes, and I can't even take you inside all the things that they did differently. But sure, there are some tune-up types things that Adam Silver and the NBA can figure out. But like, by no means is the thing ready to shut down. I can promise you that. But there's a reason why people feel a little disconnected with the league and the players. And when you talk about football, there's like a 180 there. Like with football, you know, you watch the sport, and it's like, whoa, like these guys. They're gladiators to their own detriment, right? But the physicality and the blue-collar nature of the sport is way more relatable for most of the people in America. The fact that those guys don't miss any games, and of course the number of games there's something to be said for that. But again, these are like little wrinkles that the NBA has no control over. Or maybe they do, getting their players to play. But when you're talking about 82 games as opposed to 17, you know, these guys, football guys, don't miss games. You got to literally like hold them hostage to get them to miss games, right? If they feel well enough. But if you're not medically cleared, you can't play. Basketball, it's like, hey, I'm going to sit out tonight because they're going to need me in May. But football, it's just more relatable. And it's also the players in the NBA have become sort of too curated. And maybe this is athletes overall, but I really get this feeling from the NBA. And there's different avenues now where these guys can voice their feelings, and they don't need the media as much as they used to. And we're all still feeling our way through that, right? But they don't need to sit down and get worked over by an interviewer and kind of like gotcha or shocked. They can do all their own media. And if certain guys like a Draymond Green or like an Ant-Man in Minnesota, if they want to, those guys are great, right? Anthony Edwards is like he's like a quote machine, and he seems like one of the coolest guys in the league. I was on an elevator with him in Atlanta when I was out to do that Kai Cenat tournament, and hey, he seemed like a great guy. Whatever, he was standing next to me on an elevator, but I got good vibes. So but guys like that are few and far between now. Everybody else just is very careful about how they're presented to the rest of us, and I think to a point where it kind of hurts the relatability of the sport of basketball. So I think football is way more relatable. And I think guys don't miss. And I think it's way more fun to watch during the regular season and certainly in the playoffs. Basketball is it's a different animal. And they're kind of finding their way through some of that stuff. We're going to step aside now. We got a couple more things to tackle on this show. And we're going to come back. We're efforting Cam Stewart for the last segment, and we'll let you know how that goes. But the Pete Sousa Show, powered by the Rogue Media Network, we're stepping aside. We're going to come back with a little bit of Bill Belichick talk. We're giving Tom Brady a late season grade. And, we're having fun from Lubbock, Texas today. Stay with us.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down to afterwards, was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
At Acasis, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. From gourmet snacks to unique finds, each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Unlock your full potential with Onnit, your go-to for premium supplements, fitness gear, and wellness essentials. Whether you're training hard, recovering faster, or just looking to feel your best, Onnit has the tools you need to perform at your peak. Visit Onnit, that's ONNIT.com, and elevate your mind, body, and spirit today. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
All right, the Pete Sousa Show rolls on from Lubbock, Texas. We are in West Texas. We're having a good time this morning, getting ready for a little Texas Tech and Oral Roberts tonight for ESPN non-conference game. This wraps up. This wraps up my non-conference schedule, and then I start off the season with TCU at Arizona in Tucson. Basketball is back, baby. It's been back for a while, but I'm loving it. All right, so we talked about the NFL a little bit, and I'm going to kind of dovetail off that. I love dove. What is that even? Well, I'm going to dovetail off of that into Bill Belichick. We've learned more information. I do not regret, by the way, an opinion I had last week that got like a lot of run, a lot of run for me on on social media, where I said I was frustrated with Bill Belichick not coaching in the NFL. Not that anybody's asking me to, but I won't walk back off that. I'm bummed. I am. I'm disappointed. The more I learn, I'm very disappointed in the NFL and not so much with Bill Belichick. Like from reports from the likes of, and these are like when you talk about these guys, you're talking about some real heavyweights here. Seth Wickersham and Adam Schefter. Bill Belichick was really, he wanted to take control of his destiny. He did not want to wait around and go into the offseason and get left at the altar again by NFL teams like he did last year. And the thought process now, more and more I'm hearing, is not like Bill Belichick is a huge pain in the ass and he is going to, turn the inner workings of an organization upside down because of his thirst for control, personnel, player on the field. It's not so much that as it's the owners themselves, like their incompetence and their inability to release control to a guy who will come in and do it his way. It's an indictment on the NFL. And I think it's a bummer again for us. I was like really fired up last week when we learned of what was going on, but I think it's an indictment on us, on the NFL. As to Bill Belichick not being coached. When you look at some of the jobs that were going to come open too, like there are certain things like we just don't know that we're learning now. Like, I should have known better, but like Bill Belichick really didn't even want the Giants job because he's so, he favors Brian Daboll so much. And he doesn't want to be a guy looked at who would like shank somebody like a young coach that he was a fan of and that he wanted to do something well, to do well. Apparently Las Vegas, this is according to Wickersham, not only does the team just suck so bad and the organization is just so unstable. Also, it's far away. Apparently he wants to stay like towards the coast. This is, again, according to Seth Wickersham. One thing that's really interesting, and Diana Rossini, the NFL insider, had a report yesterday that after all these months of, or not months, but several instances of Bill Belichick, like kind of talking some smack about the Jets organization and being negative about the Jets on the Manning cast, talking about Woody Johnson. This is after Robert Saleh got fired. Apparently his people around Bill Belichick reached out to the Jets a couple weeks ago and said he would have interest in the job or was showing some interest in the opening because Jeff Ulbrich, after the season, the Jets head coach, is not going to last, obviously. So that was something that came into play and people were like, what, really? So apparently This was a few weeks ago, and people within the organization were so shocked. In the Rossini report, it read that certain members of the Jets organization didn't even get the message because there was so much shock in those who initially received it. But that was dismissed about as quickly as the overture was made. But there you go, right? Like, here's Bill Belichick, like, pounding his chest. We would all do this. You're on TV, you're pounding your chest about an organization you don't like. But then, like, hey, man, at the end of the day, it's like, this is all you want to do. So it's like, hey, do you guys have any? Maybe. So that obviously didn't work out, but that was surprising. The main point that I took away this weekend, the one thing that I learned that means the most to me was that the buyout for Bill Belichick is not something that's astronomical. It's not a mountain that's too steep for NFL organizations to climb. Apparently, according to Adam Schefter, the number is laughable. And if any team wanted to go ahead and get that buyout squared away, which comes into play June of 2025, 6 months from now, before his first season with North Carolina, like, this could be figured out. So I see this, and I'm not saying like he wants to go to Carolina and jump ship, but it certainly is in play that he can go to North Carolina, have some success, test the waters, basically. He's back doing every day what he loves to do. And if it gets super uncomfortable or an amazing job opens up and they're like, hey, Bill, we have everything you want. Come work for us. Like, it's very simple. It's not going to take much for him to be right back in the NFL, which is, like, I think the most important part of this whole situation, that although he is 72, he could be in North Carolina for 1 year, right? And then he could be in the NFL. And we see it in college now. I don't know why, if a college coach coaches 1 year and Incarnate Word and gets real hot, and then he goes to Texas State, that happens. Like, and so for Bill Belichick to have one successful year in North Carolina, why can't he go to the Carolina Panthers or to the Jacksonville Jaguars or a team that needs his services that has everything set up? So it's certainly not off the table for Bill Belichick to go and coach in the NFL a year from now. And that buyout, that says it all right there. Couple NFL notes, NFL broadcasting notes. Tom Brady yesterday. So the Eagles were playing the Steelers. By the way, the Eagles on fire. Jalen Hurts is the man. He's so much cooler than me. I still don't love his body language, but who cares? I'm just a people pleaser who wants people to smile more. And I wish he would smile more, but what are you going to do? He doesn't smile much. That's it. At the press availability after the game, all week long, Lane Johnson called it the Real Housewives of Philadelphia because of A.J. Brown, and then Brandon Graham gets involved, and it's Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown don't like each other. It's this whole thing, right? And Devontae Smith is somehow lumped into it, and the Eagles go out and they really work over the Steelers. And I got the numbers right here. A.J. Brown gets 11 targets, a season high. Devontae Smith has 12 targets, a season high. Both catch for over 100 yards. Devontae Smith had 11 catches. A.J. Brown had 8, and they both scored a touchdown. So Jalen Hurts goes to his press conference, and he, like, sits down, and he's like, you guys have seen it. He's like, is that what y'all wanted? It's like, oh, all right, dude. Okay, we get it. You're way cooler than us. And we're like schleps in the media and fans, and like we're on the outside. I kind of felt like that whole thing. I felt like I did when I was a freshman at Archbishop Carroll High School, when girls wouldn't talk to me. I felt like I was a total outsider. I was real skinny and had big ears, and like Jalen Hurts was the cool kid. That was y'all want. I was like, even yesterday, I was like, ooh. I was like clutching my pearls. Like, this guy's way too cool for me. Hopefully he'll be leading me to a Super Bowl, though. Again, the body language, I don't love it, but like, who cares what I like, right? He's apparently, by all counts, he's like the best guy ever. So I can suck it up. But during that game, I was really paying because I was on a plane, right? So I was paying. I think watching something on a plane is like the best place to actually take in what you're watching because you're kind of screwed up there. I actually had found a way to like backdoor it because the internet on the plane wasn't working for a while. Anyway, so I'm watching the Eagles game on my Hulu, and it's pretty good. Like it was coming in all right, a little pixelated, but whatever, it worked. And I thought Tom Brady was phenomenal, and I thought like finally I was like, oh, here's the guy. Like this is the guy in the locker room that's breaking everybody's balls. This is the guy. He felt like my friend. He was not hesitating to jump in anymore. If anything, he would step on Kevin Burkhardt and then like apologize. It rarely happened, if ever. Well, it did happen because I'm talking about it, but it rarely happened. But the couple times for me were notable because one of how smoothly he handled it, getting it back to Burkhardt, and two, how natural and genuine his zest for getting the message across, right? Like he was just pumped to share information about the game. He feels so much more at ease, right? He seems like, and with that comfort is like he's giving us better information. It's packaged tightly. It's also funnier. He's way funnier and more comfortable. I found myself laughing at things he said yesterday because like, remember now, like football is an escape for us. When we drop in to this escape and a broadcaster who's presenting us the game seems nervous or tight, the escape then all of a sudden we become distracted during this escape and becomes less enjoyable for us because now we're worried about this guy who's anxious. And if that guy's Tom Brady, our mind is blown and that's all we want to talk about. Now it seems like he's like just like having a blast, and now he's able to be the best again. Like I really am like, oh wow. And another thing, this all takes repetition. It takes repetition for him, and honestly, it takes repetition for us. Like when you meet somebody and you become their acquaintance, right? It takes a while before you consider them your friend, right? It takes reps. It takes like, and a lot of times it takes uncomfortable situations like a dinner party you don't want to go to, a meeting that you're stuck going to, but you sit next to this person one time, and then you're eating lunch with them at another mandatory place you have to be at if this is work. And you think, oh man, this guy's kind of funny. He's growing on me, right? Like that's what we're seeing here with Tom Brady. Like he's growing on us, but there's very good reason why, because he's cool and he's doing a good job and he's way more relaxed. Like it's like a lot of fun. That game was a really awesome viewing experience yesterday, not just because the Eagles won, but because I had a lot of fun with Tom Brady. I have a theory on Aaron Andrews, by the way, and I noticed this about myself. Aaron Andrews is, I think, and maybe it's because I'm like, I like subscribe or I follow like the Calm Down podcast Instagram, and I'm like, through that you see like her and Carissa Thompson, and they seem like great buddies, and it's fun. Like that show's cool. I never have taken in a whole episode, but sometimes I watch like the reels and stuff, and it's super interesting stuff. But with that, with like, she was on Dancing with the Stars for like, that was a long time ago, but like her clothing line, she just, look, Aaron Andrews seems like a big star, like a huge star to me, to the point where she almost seems like too big of a star for that environment. Does that make sense at all to anybody else? Like I find myself like, if the sideline reporter on the Eagles-Steelers game yesterday was someone who, let's say Taylor Davis, right? Who does an amazing job for ESPN, but she's Taylor Davis. Like she's only been in my life for like 4 years, right? I know she did the Cubs. Forgive me if I'm getting her last name wrong. Maybe it's Taylor Davis, I think. But anyway, she's a young up-and-comer, not even up-and-comer. She's a young, like established, like really good sideline reporter analyst for ESPN. And I like, I'm like, oh, wow, like that was a really good point. Like when I hear her talk, right? It's more like just simple, like that was a good report. Oh, wow, this young woman is really good at this. Okay, cool. With Aaron Andrews, it's almost like when they go down to her, I'm like way overly analytical of Aaron Andrews. I'm pumped. Every time they show her, I'm pumped. She's, like, I'm not breaking any news. Super cute, right? Like yesterday, just like looks super cute in that like adorable outfit. I'm a fan, obviously, right? But I think like we get overly analytical with her presentation and everything she does because she's such a star. And that is almost a distraction in the broadcast itself. Now, if you were like a therapist or anybody who knows me at all, you'd say, well, Pete, that sounds like a you problem. And it definitely is like a you problem. But I just noticed myself when Erin Andrews like pops onto the broadcast, I'm like, oh, it's Erin Andrews. Like let's hang on her every word. And then if she makes even the smallest mistake, someone like me who is in the broadcasting world and gets a little bit of shine, like, but she's like at the mountaintop. I'm like, oh my God, she made a mistake. And then you like find it so relatable. You're like, oh yeah, Erin Andrews, she makes mistakes too. But I don't know. She's just such a star. I'm always kind of like hyper focused on her. And I think it's because she comes in and out of the broadcast, right? Like briefly. That's got to be such a hard job, by the way. I've never done it. Well, that's not true. I did it for the Charlotte Hornets. I did radio sideline reporting. And it was actually a lot of fun because, people around the team sort of got to know me and, or they did know me. So you could stand behind, like, you can stand behind a huddle. Like when Larry Brown was the coach, I can remember. And then after Larry Brown, it was Steve Clifford. But I would stand right behind the huddle and get like what the next play was going to be. And I could say, hey, like I'm ready to go on. And I worked with Scott Lauer, was the play-by-play guy for the Bobcats eventually, and then the Hornets. I worked with Scott Lauer and Brevin Knight, and then I worked with Scott Lauer and Matt Carroll. But I could see the basketball is much, I guess because I worked for a team, I had much more access. I don't think it's like that anymore. Like I don't think a sideline reporter can stand behind like Taryn Hatcher in Philadelphia. I don't know if she can stand behind the Sixers huddle, and Nick Nurse is cool with that on the last play of the game and then give a report. But that's what we could do. That made it super important. A couple things that Erin Andrews, bound to this job and the importance of it, she was talking about, she was treading a little bit. She was getting a little aggressive, a little, not to say reckless, but there was Jalen Hurts had an issue with his left hand. There was rumors that he had broken his finger. Now it's not on his throwing hand, and Eagles PR would not confirm it, but the report was out there. It sounded like, yeah, she knew he'd broken his finger, but Eagles PR, Bob Lang, St. Thomas Good Counsel fame, it's my grade school. Bob Lang would not confirm. Langer and I went to grade school together. He's a year above. He's the man. Totally self-made. Amazing story. He like is the czar of the Eagles PR and communications now. But Langer and his staff won't confirm it because they won't confirm it. Bob Lang, that's a difficult job in itself because like you do not go if the organization wants to be vague or is not going to confirm an injury to the media or the public, like you do not confirm the injury. You do not you don't even that's something that's fireable offense. Even off the record, if you say, hey, it's broken, you really have to be careful with that stuff because it could be a death knell for you. So, Bob Lang won't confirm. Erin Andrews is talking about it. And then Tom Brady's like, well, it doesn't matter because it's not on his throwing hand. And we see the guy had thrown one or two incompletions the whole game. So it was kind of snuffed out right away. But that was good information that Erin Andrews got up to the booth. And Brady handled it well, like the lightheartedness I'm talking about. All right, so we're gonna work on Cam Stewart next. If we can't get Cam, you'll get one more segment of me. But I do want to discuss some Bill Belichick stuff with Cam and also a wild rumor about Villanova basketball and who could be the next head coach of that team if Kyle Neptune can't like completely turn it around, which I heard that around the program that Kyle Neptune, Villanova's head coach, was like really on thin ice. They lost to Columbia. They lost to St. Joe's. Like, oof, that's not okay. I'm not saying they got to make the Final Four, but that's not okay. And apparently there was real scuttlebutt that they were going to let him go, but he's won like 3 straight. One of those wins against Cincinnati. Cincinnati might be the best team in the Big 12 right now. Not better than Iowa State or Kansas, but when you look at the standings, they are. So Neptune's fighting to keep his job, but if he doesn't, man, I heard a rumor that Cam can weigh in on. So we're looking forward to chatting with Cam here in a little bit. But the Pete Sousa Show, powered by the Rogue Media Network, will continue after this.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Want to turn your passion into profit? With Blogify, creating a blog has never been easier. Build, customize, and grow your site with powerful tools designed for beginners and pros alike. Start sharing your story today and watch your audience grow with Blogify. Download Blogify now in the App Store. Easy Sun has been living fearlessly under the sun since 2016. Born from sailors' need for convenient sun protection, our mineral sunscreen is crafted with natural ingredients offering broad spectrum protection against UVA and UVB rays. Safe for your skin and the environment, stay protected on the go with Easy Sun, your ultimate sun care solution. Visit EasySun.com today. That's EEZYSUN.com. Stay connected no matter where you are with eSIM-X. Say goodbye to expensive roaming charges and physical SIM cards. With access to over 200 global carriers, we make mobile connectivity seamless and affordable for travelers worldwide. Join the future of communication today at eSIMX.com. That's ESIMX.com. At Toussaint's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Toussaint's.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com. Protect your car with 3W Liners all-weather floor mats. Made from durable materials like TPE and rubber, our mats are designed to withstand rain, snow, and mud with deep grooves to trap dirt and liquids. For a custom fit and advanced protection, visit 3W Liners. That's the number 3, WLINERS.com today.
We are live, Cam. I apologize. Thank God this is Cam Stewart, and it's not like Al Michaels waiting here.
Close.
Through 4 minutes of commercials. But hey, we got to pay the bills.
Support us by supporting our sponsors.
And by the way, how about Mike Hamilton? Great job.
How about it, man?
Amazing. He did a good job putting that new commercial compilation together. And you're in Chicago now. Still a family member here at Rogue Media, and I literally, Cam, have been dying to talk to you about a couple things.
Get well soon.
I need to. What'd you say?
I said, get well soon, brother. Jeez.
Why am I sick?
No, you said you were literally dying to talk.
Well,
to me.
I was dying. So let's start with Bill Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get your thoughts on the Adam Schefter report yesterday that the buyout is laughable. So to me, what it seems like is this is not I'm not saying like he's like a real deceptive guy where it's like this is like a manipulation deal, but seems like a placeholder almost, like for an opportunity
Yeah.
to come knocking.
It's one toe in, maybe even 1 foot, but not both feet in, man. This is like getting a job at some media network and keeping your radio show and splitting the day. Like you can't, you got to go 2 feet into this thing. And he's clearly, like he said, he put out all these reports, I say put out, you know what I mean? Like, people around him were, Bill's sick of the NFL. He doesn't want to do the NFL thing. He wants to prove a point to the NFL. And I was reading that, and I'm sure you were the same way of like, really? Because the guy's only coached in the NFL. He's, a couple of good seasons away from setting the all-time NFL wins record. I don't think this is I don't think this is a shove it move necessarily. And this buyout proves that by June of 25, he can be bought out for $1 million to go and coach in the NFL, because he knows, he is going to get some calls here in a couple of weeks. And it's now Bill's in a great position where for himself, and I guess for some leverage, he can say, I've got a job coaching, but, you know what? I really don't mind the thing the Giants have going here, and they're going to give me some control. Like he can kind of pick from a position of strength here.
What do you see? Like, can you forecast this at all? Like your experience covering the Patriots, rooting for the Patriots for many years now, and you've gotten to know this guy pretty well. What does your experience and history with Bill Belichick say about this move?
It really says that I didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we know that this guy is a coaching maniac. Like he's going to want to coach, but this is just, it is. It's beneath him a little bit, no disrespect to Carolina. I like to do that, but no disrespect to Carolina. They're a middle of the pack ACC team. And this is the greatest coach in football history. I mean, it would be beneath him to coach at my alma mater at Baylor. You know what I mean? He's the 6-time Super Bowl winning head coach. It's just really weird. And I didn't see this coming at all. Even in those kind of final days where it was looking more and more imminent, it was like, really? Like Bill Belichick's going to do this? But if it does go through and we get past June 2025 and he's not bought out and he's not, coaching an NFL team and getting ready for training camp at that point, I think it's going to be an interesting experiment. And this goes to what I think about Belichick, because like once he is in, it's going to be his way with his guys, and he's earned that right. And so it really is going to be the first time we see a college program really run like the pros. Even those guys who went to the pros and came back to college, like they didn't, Pete Carroll didn't run USC like it was an NFL franchise. I guess, Saban had a good, really meticulous structure, but there's a huge difference in these games. And now you take the ultimate NFL guy, right, who has never coached in college. So the ultimate NFL lifer, you take him, you also couple him with the most curt media guy in the entire NFL, because they're the same person. And now you put him in the college football landscape, which is just full of just BS, man. Like there's no more BS sport that we love than college football. It's going to be really weird, I think.
Do you buy into the ineptitude of the owners in the NFL that are one of the reasons that we're here with this announcement, or living in this reality?
I mean, kind of. I still think after all those, kind of excuses of the ownership, that it's still beneath him to do this. But yeah, I mean, owners are weird, man. And it's the thing you can't control. You can't, hire and fire them, really. And we are seeing more than ever, because we're seeing more tanking than ever. We're seeing more bottom dollar than ever when it comes to NFL owners in terms of this salary cap era. And we don't need to look far. We obviously cover the Cowboys fairly closely for people who don't actually cover the team. we see how much of a mess that can be. And it's up and down. I mean, look, the Maras have owned the Giants since like the beginning of time, and they've got planes flying over their stadium telling them to fire the coach and fix this mess, calling out the ownership. And I've got plenty of problems with the Patriots ownership right now. Maybe it's because my team is faltering at that ownership level, but it feels like the owners are weirder than ever, so to speak.
How much does Bob Kraft have to do with this? Like, I'm not saying it was an all-out smear campaign, but it's very clear that these owners are weird. They compete against each other, but they all look out for each other, you know, and they're all backslapping and trying to help each other out. And it's like, hey, like I get the impression, and it's not me, it's many people, right, that cover the sport and are very close to it, that there was a pretty bad review put out there by Bob Kraft, specifically last year to the Falcons.
The Falcons,
yeah. But, yeah, and they were really like, that was trending in the right direction. The more and more we learn about all this stuff, that's why the aftermath of this stuff is so interesting, because we're learning just more and more about like the true, like disdain is a little, maybe a bit of a reach, but man, like between the Krafts and Bill Belichick, there seems to be no love lost. And that Dynasty documentary, which I loved, was like the nail in the coffin, because it really made Belichick look bad, or at the very least, not quite as significant as he was to all the championships.
Yes, and that all the bad things that came along with it were entirely his fault. And it was almost in that series like the Krafts trying to say, boy, I know we won a lot, but wouldn't you guys get tired too? Like, that's what they were trying to prove to us through some nuance. And I'm like, I've just thought this the whole way, because Kraft does have a big part in this, man. It's one step away from a smear campaign, what he's done since Belichick has left. And I just find it very odd, because you don't have to say anything. Like, we just saw a 4-13 team in Belichick's last year. They didn't make the playoffs the last 2 or 3 of the last 4 years he was there after Brady. And so you can sell fans on, hey, we're just trying to move on. We're just going to go in another direction here. But instead, it's like, look how great we are as the ownership group, and Belichick, and look at what the mess he put us in. And it's like, you're never going to win the battle with fans. Like, you are never going to get those fans to turn on Bill Belichick. I mean, they were one of the laughing stocks of the NFL for 40 years. And then this guy comes in and they win 6 Super Bowls. Nobody's thinking, boy, if we didn't have this owner, like, you know what I mean? Obviously, Kraft had a role to play. I'm not saying he's like, you know, he was just there cashing checks. Like, I do think it took something to trade for Belichick, trade a first-round pick to get this coach. But no one is going to turn on Belichick after he did. You might as well try to get them to turn on Brady. It's going to be the same thing. You're not going to win it. And that buyout that Belichick has before June, like that might as well be a Kraft clause, because he knows he's not going to be able to pass up a shot to coach in the NFL and coach against the Patriots. Like, you think the Dolphins
you think that's great. I love that. So you think it's not so much about like the record even still, because Andy Reid could eventually end up getting that record too. Like, it's getting pretty close. So like, you think it's almost about the competition with the Krafts, and I'll show them almost.
Oh yeah. Because it's the same thing. I mean, he did the same thing to the Jets for a quarter century. Like, he just made his life's mission with the Patriots, win Super Bowls and beat the shit out of the Jets every time. He never traded with them. He barely shook hands with them, and he wanted to crush them no matter if their playoff seeding was locked up or what. He wanted to beat the Jets. So there's no reason to believe he wouldn't do the same thing with the Patriots. And I look at a Dolphins team that's got a ton of talent and a coach that is like 3-14 against teams above 500 in his tenure with the Dolphins after they ran a coach out of town because he was too hard on the quarterback. You don't think that franchise would take a flyer on Bill Belichick? Hey, Bill, we've got the quarterback, brother. We've got the talent. And guess what? You can play the Patriots twice a year. We already beat the crap out of them every year anyway. Why don't you give this a shot? Like, he would love that. You couldn't get him out of Chapel Hill fast enough. He wouldn't even have time to rent the U-Haul. He'd be out. He'd be going and coaching the Dolphins tomorrow if that was the opportunity.
And I feel like it's almost for him. It's, hey man, if you can leave North Carolina better than where he found it, I mean, you're absolved there personally too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, if he's I was talking to, we had a family friend, and this is going to bring me to my next point. I was with my mom this weekend, so we had a family friend. People that are, one of the kids plays the Pierce family. They're the best. So one of the kids plays lacrosse at North Carolina. They all came over. They didn't know that I was there, or maybe they did, but they wanted to help my mom get up Christmas decorations because she's like the old lady in the neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
So the Pierces are awesome. They come over. Their son, Grant, who plays lax at North Carolina, was shot out of a cannon about this Belichick thing. I mean, he was so
Belichick loves lacrosse.
Yes, being a lacrosse. I mean, this guy, he has pie in the sky dreams of like possibly ending up at dinner with Belichick. I mean, and he's talking about how it can help his team recruit lacrosse players and what it's done for the university and the excitement on campus. So I was like, wow, like he's already moved the needle in such a dramatic fashion for a school that's awesome, but a program that has been just irrelevant, right? Football wise.
Right. And with Carolina, like they're never going to be a football school. They're never going to be an ACC power. But we look at that conference. It's like SMU went into year one and went to the conference championship game. And that's not even a knock on SMU, but it's like, you know, this conference is more or less up for grabs. So we talked about this last week when we were initially talking about him taking the job. Like, what is success for him at Carolina? And it's probably making the ACC championship game. If you get there, you've got a shot at the playoff. I mean, we saw the loser this year going to the playoff. So, like, it's there. I mean, Clemson is not what Clemson was 5-6 years ago, but they're still pretty solid. SMU, I think, has got a good foundation. Louisville's had a good couple of years. But think about the programs we're talking about. You know, that's not Florida State and Miami 20 years ago where you're like, oh, that's every year we got them. Like every year you're not going to be like, we're not talking about Ohio State and Michigan here. Okay. There's a shot to win big in the ACC.
All right, Cam.
Yeah.
I would love to piggyback off that, but we're up against the time.
No,
I know, because I could go with you forever. But I'm kind of like my family. Let me bring some context. My mom was the athletic director secretary for Tedesito, right? So she was what they would call now an administrative assistant, but she was a secretary for the athletic director for like 5-6 years. Right, the year after they won the title in '85, she took over. Then she ended up
Villanova, by the way.
At Villanova, yeah. Then she ended up taking over the student union building and running that. So she was always a fixture on campus, but like we got some ties here, right? Villanova wise, which means I'm sort of sourced up. So I get a guy over at our house, a big time donor of Villanova. First of all, telling me that millions of dollars are being taken off the table the longer the Villanova's head coach Kyle Neptune stays. Like we're talking $10 million. Like, no, I'm going to take that back. And so they had lost 3 straight, and apparently, like he was out. They lost to Columbia, they lost to St. Joe's, and he was going to go. They were going to put this guy Baker Dunleavy, Mike Dunleavy's kid, in charge to kind of see how he managed
the other Dunleavy kid.
Yeah, to see he was at Quinnipiac for a while. So to see how he can manage things, and then maybe move on to a bigger name. Okay, do you want to hear who the bigger name is? That will be the perfect fit at Villanova. And it's a huge swing, and it involves you.
Involves me?
Yeah.
Oh, at Villanova. How does it involve me? Is there a Boston thing here?
Oh, yeah.
Brad Stevens.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
can I real quick? Every time the last 3-4 years that a big time college job is open, be it Duke being one, Carolina being one, Villanova absolutely would have been one. My dad will text me and he'll say, the first call has to be to Brad Stevens, right? I mean, the first call, Indiana was a big one, right? And he's like, you might not take the job, but you have to call him. And he said this to me about, it must have been, it was last year about somebody. And I'm like, Dad, he's going to win Executive of the Year in the NBA. He doesn't even have to travel with the team. Like I mean, it's a swing.
Because at some point, and look, I think that this is a great example of college programs and their donors just having no clue of who they are. But hey, look at North Carolina. It just worked for them. That epic swing worked. Yeah. So you always got to make the phone call.
Well, Belichick didn't have a job.
Yeah, that's a big part. That's what I agree with. Like, yeah, Brad Stevens has an awesome job.
But if you're, I would say this though, if you're Nova, like it's like that Kanye song, right? Reach for the stars. So if you fall, you land on a cloud. Like if Nova keeps taking big swings, like they're going to get, I think they're going to punch above their weight right now. Obviously Villanova is a pretty great all-time program, but where they're at right now, and
it's bad, dude. They beat Cincinnati, but it's bad. Like I was talking to somebody, they were like, nobody's, a lot of these, even big time programs, Baylor is, people do love Baylor and Waco, and the school gives a lot of support. But like, dude, that game last week on an 11 a.m. start, it was rough to the point where Scott Drew felt like he needed to address it in the post game when I was doing radio. Like he was like, yeah, this is my fault. I screwed the schedule up. I'm supposed to be the Scream game. And, okay, fine. But what was your excuse then on the Wednesday afternoon before Thanksgiving? I know those are games but the fans weren't there. At Villanova, it's like nobody's there on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean? Like in a big game.
I think they could, if they went the whole season, I think they could get a guy like Billy Donovan. Okay. I mean, things are not going well here for Billy. Here in Chicago. So, I mean, he was rumored for some jobs last year. It's a guy who's a 2-time national champion coach in college and was looking like the next guy in college.
Would Brad Stevens ever leave the Celtics for a head coaching job in college?
I don't think the way it is right now. But you do have to remember this, Pete. I'll give you some hope. The Celtics are up for sale. Okay? They could be sold at any time. And if the owners are a bunch of pricks, I mean, it's possible. He would also get calls to be an executive somewhere else in the NBA, but it's possible.
Well, that's exactly, it kind of takes us full circle. That's exactly what happened with Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick with the Jets. Leon Hess died. They sold the team, and Belichick took the job for a day and left.
Bill loved Leon.
He did.
He liked Leon a lot.
Both Bills. All right, Cam. We got to wrap it up, dude. We've gone way over.
I'll be like that ref from the other day. Did you see that?
I did.
You didn't see that?
I know I did. I texted Mosley. By the way, for some reason I thought of Mosley. I texted Mosley yesterday about somebody who I really like. The person's kind of in Mosley's world, and Mosley responded with, this person was an epic windbag. And I mean, it was like three things: huge ego, windbag, loves himself. I've told you this before. I'm like, all right, I get it. All right, Cam Stewart, you can catch him on the Cam Show every day at 11 a.m. Central Time. He's in Chicago, where the time is still Central, where he's funnier than ever. And you can also catch him on Locked On Baylor. Dude, I got a Baylor game, Cincinnati. So you got to have me on. So now you got to have me on.
That's one of the first ones in conference, right?
Yeah. It's a home game on like a Tuesday night. I think it's like January 4th or something, or 7th. Yeah.
7th sounds right. Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right, Cam. I'm here for you.
Sneaky good.
All right. See you, Cam.
Bye.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference, because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. At Acasis, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today. We are Rogue Media Sports.